And it's being reported that Andrew Gwynne, the MP and former health minister who had the Labour whip removed over offensive WhatsApp messages, is expected to resign as soon as this afternoon.
Indeed. This, of course, clears the way for Andy Burnham, the Greater Manchester Mayor, to seek a return to the House of Commons.
Well, joining us now is our political editor, Christopher Hope. And Christopher, timing is everything here. There's huge rumours in Westminster that there might be a move against the Prime Minister after the local elections, and Andrew Gwynne going today could ensure someone like Andy Burnham enters the Commons at the time of the local elections.
This really is. This is the beginning, Tom, of a huge story this year about Sir Keir Starmer's future. You're absolutely right. The May elections, the date when people say there might be a move against him. Will it be Wes Streeting, of course, the Health Secretary? He was taunted by Kemi Badenoch in PMQs about that. He was shaking his head thoroughly. Will it be Andy Burnham? Well, it can't be Andy Burnham currently because he's the Mayor of Greater Manchester, but it could be Andy Burnham were he to be an MP, and that's why this news about Andrew Gwynne matters so much. He's an independent MP after losing the whip over some inappropriate messages, offensive messages sent on a WhatsApp group. He is now reportedly to be about to announce he is standing down as an MP. And that could be a way back in for Andy Burnham. He's run twice already for the leadership of the Tory party, didn't win. Refused to rule out standing. There's a Labour North West conference this weekend. Wes Streeting, the Health Secretary, who could stand against Keir Starmer or try and challenge him, he says we need a strong candidate. Whether or not Andy will throw his hat in the ring is for Andy to consider and ultimately for party members to decide. But we need a strong candidate. Now, why does Wes Streeting say that? The answer is simple. They are worried about Reform UK taking a seat. Gorton and Denton was won by Andrew Gwynne with a 13,000 majority back at the last election. However, the next party running behind him was Reform on around 5,000 votes against Labour's 18,000. Then the Greens, 4,800, and then the Tories and Lib Dems behind that. So this is a target seat for Reform UK. I've been texting Nigel Farage, who I think's on his way back from Davos, to ask him if he's got a candidate selected yet for Gorton and Denton. But what this means is an opportunity here, if Andy Burnham can get selected, if Andrew Gwynne resigns, if Burnham gets back into the House of Commons, to be this focal point for discontent around Sir Keir Starmer. And that's important because of what's coming down the track, a very difficult time in the May elections. In England, of course, there's council elections, but also in Wales, where Labour could be wiped out and Plaid wins their Reform second according to polling, and Scotland too, where Labour may not take Scotland, of course, a big effort there by Anna Sarwar up there. So absolutely fascinating. This is the first, almost chapter one in a 20-chapter book this year on whether Sir Keir Starmer can survive as Prime Minister.
It's really interesting, Christopher, at the moment. I don't think I can remember it being so intriguing, so many games. I mean, it is like three-dimensional chess being played here. But there are a lot of hoops to jump through, aren't there, before Andy Burnham actually gets, potentially, that top job?
A lot of hoops to jump through. Andrew Gwynne's got to resign. We think that could be today. Andy Burnham's got to get selected. That's not straightforward because the National Executive Committee, the ruling body of Labour, could find a way of blocking him. But that might make, because it's controlled by Starmerites, friends of Sir Keir Starmer, that could make him look weak were that to happen. But if he gets selected, he's then got to win the by-election, the third hurdle. And that's, of course, beating Reform UK, who would run him maybe a close second or maybe even win it. Then when he's elected, well, all bets are off because he'll be a figure who could become a focal point for discontent around Sir Keir Starmer. Don't forget the Lucy Powell, who's, of course, the new party deputy leader. She's got issues with Keir Starmer from the past when she was fired last year as leader of the House. She, of course, expresses loyalty now, but she's very close to Andy Burnham. Others, too, who may want us to come round to him, lots of North West MPs who felt they lost out in last September's reshuffle. So there's a lot to play for. This is when Labour politics gets very, very interesting.
Hello, I'm Bev Turner. Now, it can feel like the money in our bank accounts at the moment does not keep up with the cost of living. And maybe there's a solution. I'm here today with the CEO of TallyMoney, Cameron Parry. Cameron, what is TallyMoney?
Well, Bev, with TallyMoney, you get a current account and a debit card, but instead of pounds, you use milligrams of gold as your everyday money.
So why gold?
Gold traditionally is a great store of value. It has, on average, gone up at over 11% per annum for the last 25 years against the pound. It's tripled in value in the last decade. And in the last 2 years alone, it's increased by 50% against the pound. Banks' savings products just can't compete with that level of growth.
But this isn't just about gold. This is about a currency that you guys have created at TallyMoney. Explain it to me as though I'm an idiot.
So, look, people need to be able to hold their earnings and build their savings in a money that retains its value and remains in their legal control and remains theirs to access, away from government control.
Great. You had me at not exposed to government control.
You should feel safe and happy with your money. You should have peace of mind the more money you see in your bank balance, and that's the type of thing we're trying to deliver and give people choice in the type of money they get to use every day.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Cameron. Thank you.
Christopher, thank you so much. That's GB News political editor Christopher Hope there for us.
Joining us now is the chief political correspondent for the Times newspaper, Aubrey Allegreti. Aubrey, how likely is it that the Labour Party NEC will allow Andy Burnham to stand as a candidate?
It feels pretty unlikely. There have been some changes to the composition of the NEC in the last couple of months. Some of your viewers might remember that there was a new General Secretary of the Unison trade union who was seen as being more hostile to Keir Starmer. But overall, his allies still strongly control the Labour ruling body that effectively gets a de facto sign-off, first of all, on whether a Labour mayor can stand as a candidate in Westminster, and also whether or not there could be potential for him to appear on any long list or short list. So I'd say they put the chances at very, very minimal. That suggests he's going to face a real uphill battle if he does go for this.
Aubrey, Andy Burnham did also pledge allegiance to Manchester. He vowed to stand by the people of that city. He wants to be there. He wants to represent them. So this would not actually portray his character that well if he suddenly jumped ship and went down to the Westminster, which he professes to hate.
Absolutely. Andy Burnham's made a great virtue out of the fact that he is sometimes called by his colleagues the King of the North and very happy doing his current job. So it would be an incredible volte-face for him to be able to come to Westminster. He's obviously spent months and months and months diagnosing problems with the government. So at Labour conference, he was very critical about some of the mistakes that they'd made. And particularly in the last couple of weeks, he's been making more and more interventions on economic policy. But it's not clear that he has the power base in Westminster to get here. Some MPs I've been speaking to said today, the last thing we need is a Burnham circus rolling into town, which will only divert money and resources away from crucial elections. They're talking about those elections happening locally across England and Scotland and Wales. One of them said, it's time for Andy Burnham to finally put party ahead of personal ambition. He's reinvented himself more times than Robert Jenrick. I think talking about the journey that the new Reform MP's been on from Cameroon to Nigel Farage's party.
And yet, talking to Labour MPs behind the scenes, they're not happy with how Keir Starmer is doing. Most of them, I would hasten to say, would rather someone else were Prime Minister right now, but there isn't a wide agreement on who that person should be. The names that are often thrown around that are currently in Parliament don't seem to pass muster either with the Labour membership or with being able to get enough MPs on board. Andy Burnham does pass both of those tests. I mean, ultimately, if there were 100+ Labour MPs who put their names publicly demanding of the Labour NEC, of the leadership, that Andy Burnham is allowed to stand in that seat, could our Prime Minister, weak as he is, really resist such a move from his own MPs?
It would be difficult to. I think that there's a risk, though, of over-exaggerating the extent to which Andy Burnham would be welcomed by the Westminster Parliamentary Party. I mean, even some Greater Manchester colleagues are incredibly sceptical about how potent a sort of revitalising force he would be in Westminster. And of course, there's the issue of the differing timelines that Keir Starmer's potential successors are working on here. Wes Streeting has sort of time on his side. He's obviously denied being on manoeuvres, but if he goes sooner rather than later, that works to his benefit. Angela Rayner, meanwhile, well, she's still going through her redemption arc, trying to pay back the £40,000 to HMRC for that unpaid stamp duty, and, you know, only having been out of government since September. Someone like Andy Burnham, meanwhile, he needs to get in much, much quicker, because he would need to fight and win a seat this side of May in order to be in Parliament as an MP to run in any contest. So it's being sort of split in all different directions, and actually that is the biggest thing keeping Keir Starmer safe at the moment, that his opponents from within his own party are so divided.
Well, absolutely fascinating stuff there, Aubrey. Thanks indeed for explaining what exactly is going on in the corridors of power right now, as far as anyone knows what is going on in the corridors of power.
Including the people actually in the corridors of power. And lots of you are saying that. It's like, can we just have politicians that care about the public rather than their own personal careers? Dan.
Speaking of